Virunga e banambo kabaye.
We're in Cameroon because Born Free has two projects here. We have the Limbe Wildlife Centre, Sanctuary, and obviously the work of Ophir and LAGA, which basically Born Free has now been working in Cameroon for over 6 years. As an organisation, we need to try and get as much public awareness, as much government support as we can to make sure that these programmes are viable for the future.
So the Limbe Wildlife Centre is a cooperation between the government of Cameroon and Tondrilles. Tondrilles is a really small NGO. This all started as a zoo, and a real terrible African zoo. Animals in small cages, all single animals, no groups or anything. Well, we get in all kinds of animals, not only primates, but also reptiles, birds. These crocodiles have been here like forever, and we've decided, well, let's just keep them here. But if there's new crocodiles coming in, we just make sure that they're healthy again, and then we bring them back to the wild. For primates, it's a little bit difficult. You need a piece of forest that is well protected, and that is a problem in this country. Our ideal is to bring them back to the wild, but we're not that far yet. Most of what we get in is drills, really. The drills are the most endangered primates in Africa. We're afraid that they might get finished soon. They're very easy to catch because they live in large groups and mostly on the ground. So hunters just have to surround them with their dogs, and then they shoot as many as they can. And then they always have some babies left that they try to sell as pets. And when those babies are lucky, they end up here, and otherwise they just die being somebody's pet. So we used to have only one group of gorillas, but these gorillas all had some trouble in the group. For instance, this male here, Arno, he was the smallest male we had, but he has a big attitude. Well, the story of Arno is the same as all the other animals here in the Wildlife Centre. His parents were killed for bushmeat, and he was worth more as a pet than as meat. Ape meat is really very highly valued. Chimp and gorilla meat is really they say it's the best. I don't know, I've never tasted it.
The gorillas, we feed them 4 or 5 times each day, and with different kinds of food.
Oh, they're going to get hit again.
Bola. Good bola.
Oh, she's doing the little thing.
Like you.
That's so cute.
Yes.
Gorillas are really quiet animals. They're like cows, you know, they're vegetarians. They're eating all the time, and they're just sitting and digesting.
The apes are our closest relatives in the animal kingdom. They share in the upper 90% of their DNA. They share many of the characteristics that we think are special about humans. Well, self-awareness, compassion, care for members of your family or community. In the case of chimpanzees, the tendency to fight neighbouring communities. Chimpanzees are so like us that they're sometimes not very nice to know. They wage war of a kind and will be extremely thuggish and violent.
Yeah, I heard chimpanzees can rip people's arms off, actually.
Yeah. You don't want to encounter a big male chimpanzee.
Oh my god, they're throwing stones!
Max, don't do it. Let's go.
Whoa. Yeah.
They seem to have fun in scaring us off. Well, hunters, they go for meat. And the big animals have a lot of meat in them. And the babies, they keep them alive in order to sell them as a pet. I can imagine the feelings that you have when you see the baby chimp. And I can imagine that you want to have it in your arms. But the people don't realize that these baby chimps grow up to be big monsters like that who throw rocks.
This is Ga, yeah. He's the nicest one. And if you ask me my favorite chimp, I would say Ga. He arrived here on the 1st of February in 2006 when he was barely a year old. He was paralyzed in both his arms and legs as a result of the traumatized injury he had
The way that we found Ga was in a trunk of a station wagon, sacks of drugs, cocaine, and Ga in the middle. I was taking care of him for 2 weeks. Ga was having seizures. I don't know what to do. So one of the vets arrived here and actually found out there is a bullet still stuck in his skull. When I came here as a journalist, I came here with one sentence in my mind. In 15 years from now, chimps, gorillas are going to get extinct. And that was a sentence by Jane Goodall, the researcher. For me, that was something big. But when I arrived, I kind of stepped out from an observer into a participant because I came in a research and then ended up rescuing chimp. And when I rescued this baby chimp, I became the father and mother to this chimp. These are the orphans of the bushmeat trade. And I rescued the chimp, and then I had to be the father and mother for this chimp for 4 months. After 4 months, we managed to get this chimp into a family of other orphan chimps. And hopefully, next year, maybe he will be integrated back into the wild. Well, I'm here for 6 years now, but when I first arrived and trying to establish wildlife law enforcement, basically to start catching the traffickers of ivory and traffickers of apes, it wasn't a very popular idea. It was kind of a risky business. And Born Free was one of the only organizations that was actually taking the risk and saying, you know what, that sounds like a crazy idea of somebody running around and actually being there with police officers, making sure that these people are arrested and brought to justice. But it's what needs to be done.
The way Ophir is working is to send people work undercover. When we are suspecting something, we look now for avenues, how to come in contact with the person and then know exactly if he's really involved in wildlife crimes. The biggest operation I've ever had with Ophir, to get the hand of a chimp. I went there with an international crime investigator. I presented him like my friend coming from the US that is very, very much interested in eating chimp's meat, that I could buy in any price. The dealer said, okay. He just went across the road, entered a certain house, opened the deep freezer, and brought the chimp's arm.
The trade is real. It is specialized. It is connected many times to other forms of criminalities. You know, many times we have operations that are linking between the trade in wildlife and the drugs trade, for example. What we're talking about is the fact that this is illegal criminal activity that is usually not being held by, villagers. It's not poachers. These are big criminals. Sometimes they are the authorities themselves. Well, the UN Congress on Crime was identifying the illegal wildlife trafficking as the third largest illegal trade in the world after drugs trade and arms trade. So you can understand that it fetches a lot of money. This illegal trade is international, so it is built on trust because it means that you are dealing with many different chains. So a lot of people need to trust each other for the supply and the demand to meet. So what we're trying to hurt is that trust in between. Nobody was really doing the core activity that needs to be done. It's pretty simple. If we have the apes running towards extinction and there are laws to protect them from the trade that is their main threat, it needs to be applied. And the fact that it was not applied even a single time, like zero is zero. So we've moved Cameroon from 0 wildlife prosecutions to once per week. So now in the last 3 years, our statistics is that once per week we have a major wildlife dealer behind bars.
The way we're going, gorillas will be exterminated by a combination of human hunting, human change of their habitat, and natural diseases such as Ebola, which are exacerbated by those other pressures. And it would be a shame if that were to happen, but because gorillas are amazing, fascinating beings. I regard them as just, we're human beings, they're gorilla beings. There was a study just published in South America which showed that a forest where the primates had been hunted out, all but, has far fewer seedlings and young trees. Surprise, surprise. You take away the gardeners of the forest, and that's what we like to call the elephants and the apes and the hornbills and toucans that disperse seeds in their droppings. You have the Garden of Eden, and you take away the gardener, then you haven't got the Garden of Eden. You've got a stand of trees which one by one will die, and the species diversity will decline, and we will probably suffer.
Empty forest syndrome.
I've had the pleasure of introducing literally hundreds of people to gorillas, taking them for that close encounter. Some people are really moved by exchanging a glance with a mind who happens to be in a non-human body. It can be very, very profound.